Well, it's the first Tuesday of 2021, and of course, that means it's going to be late and you're not going to get your top 10 Tuesday until Wednesday. That being said, it took so much time to come up with this because I struggled a lot, more so than I ever have, I think, with any top 10 video, to narrow this down. And I flip-flopped back and forth, and it just took a lot of effort. And I could probably do a top 30. I could have probably done a top 5. It could have gone either way. And my patrons voted, and they wanted top 10 D&D 5e third-party supplements. My top 10. Well, I'm going to say stay tuned if you want to hear the rules and all that good stuff behind it. What happened to the second party? Just went straight to third. What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and I'm going to actually end up giving you my top 10 companies for homebrew, for third-party supplements. I tried very hard to give you actual supplement books, my top 10 books or supplements to use from third-party, and depending on how you look at it, if I were to go on the ones that I use most frequently, a large portion of these would all be from one company. And then I could have just said, go check out that company, which is why I switched to that. And I am going to give you several different options within each company, what things I like, things that I think are pretty cool, or reasons why they're on this list. So you're going to get more than 10. You'll get a couple of options for each, and I'll do my best to showcase the different things, why I like them, and why I think they deserve a spot on this list. I'm sure some of them you can already figure out what they are, but well, I guess you'll just have to wait and see. Number 10. My number 10 on this list is almost non-existent now, I guess. Kind of bittersweet. I didn't know this. I had put, from Cubicle 7, the Adventures in Middle-earth series, which, if you're unfamiliar, looks like this. And it's a D&D 5e compatible Lord of the Rings campaign setting and playthrough and stuff like that. So I thought, I had looked at this. I was going to pick up a copy of the book, and I just never got around to it. And I said, hey, this is pretty cool. Not only can you use this as a supplement to play an entirely unique game if you want to play 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, mechanics and, the setting, or not, sorry, the setting, the mechanics, but play through Lord of the Rings. This is designed to do that, but you might also be able to backwards alter things from this into your D&D campaign. And I always thought that that was really cool. And the reason that it's so high on this list is because I've seen some of the pages and things that people have cropped out. I don't actually own it. But get this, it's done. I guess I was looking right here, right? We are going to, in the coming months, we're going to basically not offer it anymore. And I went to click here to go buy it, and it takes me to their store, and the page isn't found. So it looks like, folks, I guess this is also sort of an FYI. If you want to get the copies of the 5e Adventures in Middle-earth Player's Guide and all those things, you better go find them now. You can't even get them in PDF form because they removed the PDFs. So you can't even go buy these physical books anymore. And from what I saw, they had 3 books originally, which was the Player's Guide, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and at least this Adventures in Middle-earth Erebor Adventures. I thought there were more. It says includes all Adventures in Middle-earth titles on. So I guess that's how that would work. But I guess they're completely gone now. And you could have gotten all 3, it looks like, for like $27. And I'm super bummed. So I'm going to be digging around trying to find these just so I can have a set of them for my collection. But anyway, I thought that was really cool, but now I'm also kind of bummed because they don't exist anymore. Number 9. Walrock Homebrew. I think that's how you pronounce it. I know it's, the interesting take on switching the L and the R in Warlock. But this is also one that I thought was bittersweet, but I was corrected. This is a website, a blog right here that you can see, a Blogspot blog with just a ton of information, all these different things. And one of the reasons that I really enjoyed this website and all the homebrew on here is I guess Walrock would go back and adjust, and you could see here there's like version 2.2, version 0.4, go back in and make adjustments to things based on feedback, based on playthrough and things like that. And I loved using a lot of these, and I have in several different campaigns where players wanted to play something custom and homebrew, different races, different classes. I used a lot of these as examples. But I have found out, because originally I was like, oh man, the last post on here was from January of 2019. Did I pick a second one where they stopped releasing and now I'm just behind again? Well, no, looks like we transitioned over to the DMs Guild, and there is a ton of content here on the DMs Guild, as you can see here. This is, I guess there's 24 options, but a lot of them seem to like they got cross-posted over there from the other area. But when I read through a lot of the homebrew too back in the day, I always was really impressed with the balance and how not overpowered a lot of the stuff was. I don't know if things have changed since then, but we see a lot of different races here. We have Modrons, Shardmines, Satyrs. Obviously, we have a Satyr now through Theros, but Vampire Prestige class. We've got, let's see, Water Spells, which is huge because water spells don't really exist in 5th edition. A bunch of different swarms as a character race. Undead Ancestries, Fairies. We got a Technomancy book. If you want to play a Commoner, we've got a Commoner level 0 class here. Scarecrows as a race. This is Teas and Tisanes, I think is how you pronounce it. Brewed beverage options, which would be great. I'm always looking to expand the lore and the deepness of my own homebrew world, and if I can get options from other folks that have created stuff out there to give me inspiration or to, you know, just use in my own homebrew game, I like to do so. We've got a pumpkin race. We've got variants for Tabaxi. You can see here is basically like a standard house cat. Components for Warforged, an Awakened Undead, a new class, the Witch, exotic and expanded weapons, which is what everybody wants in 5th edition from what I'm hearing, spiked chains and so on. Batfolk, Nictor were one of my races that I really wanted to bring back into 5e from 3.5. Well, it looks like I can do that. We have Lara, this is the Moth race. I saw this going around for a while. Different traders and merchants, and then fortresses, temples, and strongholds. So a lot of really good options here. I'm going to go ahead and, I mean, a lot of these are pay what you want, so you can choose to essentially get them for free if you want, or go back and pay for them after the fact if you really like them. Some of them do have dollar amounts tied to them, but the reviews, as you can see on almost all of these, are 4 or 5 stars. 4.5 looks like the lowest rating on any of these, which means that they're obviously quality. People want them. I don't know how many reviews are here if we click on each one, but like this one is the lowest, is this Moth race. But it is got 20 reviews and it's still coming in at 4.5 stars. A lot of these look like they're best gold sellers or above, and that speaks for itself. Number 8. Quill Cauldron. This, unfortunately, doesn't look like it's been updated on the DMs Guild, but they are the folks that were behind these Ulron's guides to the plains. We had the Shadowfell guide here. I don't remember if I did a review on this, but I know I definitely did the one on Acheron here, because they actually were nice enough to send me the hardcover copy of the book. And these books are phenomenal. I can't wait to see more about this in the future from these folks, because they really just pack this first chapter, the first really 2 chapters, where they just pack it with lore and information. And if you're trying to run a game in another plane of existence that you're not familiar with, these books are just fantastic resources. I don't really have any plan to go to Acheron, but the Shadowfell seems like something people like enough that people might be enticed to go there. So I would be very much all about, see Quill Cauldron, it says present to you a 300-page tome. So we have a little bit about it. Then we have, this has got the Fugue Plague, then deities and other powers, and then we obviously have character options and bestiaries. Same thing here on this end. And it looks like here every sale gives to charity. At least with the second version. Maybe they went back and fixed that for the original. Say, look at that. That's this guy right over here. But anyway, so I endorse these books personally, so I endorse these folks, and I'd love to see more of it. Also, if you don't know, on the DMs Guild, they now added, obviously they haven't updated the name of this, but they added this option here where if you click on something, you can follow the creator of something, and if you do, then you can be sent notifications. You can set it up, I think, once a month, once a week, or once a day whenever they upload something new to the DMs Guild, so you'll never miss out on new published sources from your favorite content creator. Number 7. The Griffon's Saddlebag. I was kind of slow to the party on this. I don't really have a good reason why, but a lot of people recommended it to me, so here we are. You can see right here on the Deck of Many, these are, I think, Hit Point Press is their publishing group. But anyway, the deckofmany.com, they did the lenticular spell cards and Deck of Many things, and they were the ones who kind of got behind helping Griffon's Saddlebag make published books of this. So we can see we can get these in like tarot card forms, right? Bundles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you can get a nice box to put them all in. They did a Kickstarter where you could have bought the book in PDF form, which you can actually buy right now. And if you have the book, you can see everything that's in it. You can get a physical book, book 1 for $50, the book 1 and the deluxe cover for $80. And then you can go to their Reddit, which you can see is just full of stuff that you can view. And again, here's the PDF if you wanted to go grab this. But they also have access to this thing called the Ledger Plus, which is $15 right now as the time of me recording this. And it's a desktop and mobile-friendly compendium of magic items. And there's a bunch that are offered there for free. If you were to buy this right now, you get lifetime access to the 365 items in book 1. And if you're a patron, you can get even more. So if we go over here and look, you can see buy access codes. If we were to click this, that takes us back there. We can buy the access code for 365 magic items forever. If we're a patron of $7 or more, we can access 665 items more and more with monthly support. But look at this. All of these ones right here, these are all available for us to look at for free. So if we go ahead and click on this, we could say, like, let's look at the Bow of Mind Thievery. It pulls it up. It's got beautiful art on it, which looks, the text and the art looks like it fits perfectly within 5th edition. And this is a rare short bow that requires attunement. They deal an extra d4 psychic damage when they hit, and if you hit a humanoid with an arrow in this way, they make a wisdom save of DC 15. On a fail, they fall under the effects of Dominate Person, as if cast by you for a minute. It does not require concentration. In addition, you can use a bonus action to see through their eyes and hear what they hear at the start of your next turn. Or until the start of your next turn. During this time, you are deaf and blind, blah, blah, blah. If we scroll down, we'll grab one more. Cold Snap. This looks like a whip. Yep. Spicy Whip deals an extra d4 cold damage to any target it hits. It has a +1 to attack and damage rolls. It has 3 charges. When you hit a creature that is immune to cold damage with this weapon, expend a charge to force the creature to make a DC 15 con save. On a failure, its speed becomes 0 until the start of your next turn. On a success, its speed is halved instead. Once you attune to this weapon, is normally frigid handle, feels warm to the touch. So there you go. That is why this is on here. I am definitely going to purchase the PDF. I'm going to buy the book too, because this is a thing I'd like to have. I've mentioned before, a magic item compendium is something I want from 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Doesn't look like we're going to get one anytime soon, especially with the focus apparently going to be on new campaign settings in 2021. This is about as close as you're going to get. Number 6. Mage Hand Press. Now, while I did do coverage of Dark Matter earlier in the year when the Kickstarter was live, and I have had a chance to play through Dark Matter a bit, which is basically a 5e version of a sci-fi space fantasy game. And when I say that, what I mean is this is not like necessarily like a Spelljammer replacement. This is a sci-fi game using 5th edition mechanics. So like if you wanted to play Mass Effect or something like that in 5th edition, you would use something like this. They obviously do a bunch of other stuff for that. You can take things from Dark Matter and supplant them into your own game as you see fit. But they have done a couple of other things you can purchase on here. Here's Cobalt, the Book of Kobolds, which I will obviously be buying due to my love of kobolds. We have things like Fantastical Felines, with there's things you can do to add new kittens and cats to your games. We have a couple new classes in the Complete Binder, which was that was an older class from back in 3.5 that I'm aware of, maybe from prior editions as well, that allowed you to bind spirits and whatnot. We have a Complete Investigator here. This is basically to play your your Hellboy or your John Constantine type, but they also were middle finger of Vecna. This is a blog that's been around for a long time that you can go ahead and download. And look, this thing's updated as late as December 30th. So I feel like that means it's still going on, unlike some of the other ones we've talked about. But there's a ton of stuff here. And this is actually how I got to know about it. But unfortunately, Vecna is an IP property of Wizards of the Coast, so you couldn't name your business that's going to be publishing books middle finger of Vecna, so it's changed to Mage Hand Press, but you can see the logo is the same for all of them. And if we were to go to Homebrew, you'll see we have a whole list of different things right here, right? We have all of these different classes, monsters, races, new base classes, magic items. We can click on everything and see what that'll probably just take us to the whole list of all of the stuff here, which you can see. And you'll see there's some reduxes here where they've updated things, right? Urban Druid, Rage Mage. And I've looked through a handful of these. One that I always was really interested in was the Alienist. This, I think, was for a wizard. But Alienist is kind of the Lovecraftian, pulling in aberration style stuff. This was an old prestige class that basically was for sorcerers, where they would tap into their aberrant sort of background. But I guess that sort of takes the place of the so you can see right here we've got like a Shoggoth creature right here in this image, and I always thought this was cool. This is long before we got our aberrant mind sorcerer, although the true pseudo-natural aberration parts of it is not this was a wizard. The pseudo-naturalness of it doesn't seem to really come through in the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer, where this one is like you're going to have like extra eyes or smell weird or like tentacles coming out of your face. That was one that just interested me because a friend of mine played an Alienist back in 3.5. But you can see there's look at all this stuff, right? We could even get Godzilla, the King of Monsters. If you wish you had Godzilla's stat block, we could scroll down right here. And here we go. We can have Godzilla, the King of Monsters, in 5th edition as a CR 30 creature here with all sorts of crazy abilities. So there you go. Number 5. Goodman games, and specifically the original adventures, updated, revisited, that kind of a thing. While Goodman games is probably very popular, and a lot of you may know them from Dungeon Crawl Classics or Mutant Crawl Classics or things like that, they did have a long series of these 5th edition fantasy. I don't know if they're still going on, but they were sort of like adventures, and I think I've run a couple of them, and I've gotten a few of them from like various D&D crates. But you can see right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are taking old 1st edition, I believe, adventures and updating them to 5th edition. And what's really cool is the books are massive and you get so much in it. So I happen to have the Isle of Dread in the other room, so I'm going to click on that one and open it up. But what you get when you get these is you get the original adventure in its entirety for the original system it was from. You get the current, taking that and then updating it to 5th edition, as well as some additional like background info. So if you take a look, Goodman Games expands its partnership with Wizards of the Coast with a second release in the original Adventures Reincarnated line. The first installment, Into the Borderlands, is already a bestseller, and this second release will transform a hit title into a hit product line. OAR 2, The Isle of Dread, brings back the very first wilderness adventure ever published by Wizards of the Coast. The tutorial adventure by legendary designer Zeb Cook and Tom Moldvay was included in the D&D expert set and has been seen by millions of gamers. Now the 1st edition is re-released in hardcover form, accompanied by a 5e conversion and expansion. This is your chance to revisit an iconic adventure from your youth and play it in the newest rule set with the next generation. So yeah, basically the front half of the book is that original 1st edition adventure in its entirety, which, for those of you who played 1st edition or have nostalgia for it or just wanted to look at what it was like, that's probably, like, this is like a no-brainer, huge win for you. You get the original adventure that you might have had, might have played, might have lost, followed by a 5th edition conversion of it. And there's like some interesting stuff in between where it sort of talks about like, it says, what does it say? Includes commentary by Zeb Cook. Yeah, so there's like information in there and commentary by the original creators. Right, we've got Expedition to the Barrier Peaks here. we've got all of these cool original adventures that are, apparently from what I again, having not played them, legendary in their aspects and what they've been able to do. And they go all the way up to number 5, which is Castle Amber, which is relatively new. They are $50, which puts them a little on the pricier side. They are not available in PDF form, but you're essentially getting, again, a whole brand new adventure. And some of these run for pretty high levels. If we were to look at Castle Amber, this is good for, does it tell us what we're going to get, how long what it's for? I don't think it does. But it says, we're going to get a couple of different diary sections in here as well about expanding it. I guess it doesn't say on the front. I thought it would have said, like, what it was for or what levels it was for. But either way, very cool stuff. You get to see what happened back in the day. If you ever wanted to try to do a conversion from other 1st edition stuff to 5th edition, this would be a great way for you to figure that out as well by looking at how they converted it. Or, give you an opportunity to try one in 1 edition and one up in 5th edition now. Number 4. Dan Coleman's products on either DriveThruRPG or I think they're even on the DM's Guild as well. And the reason I say this is this one is really big for me because I think one of the first ever Kickstarters I ever backed was this. And when I remember when I was at my Blue Sky Day, my regular job, and I happened to be at an office I don't normally go to, and I was just sitting around trying to find interesting stuff to expand my homebrew 5th edition campaign. This was 6 years ago now. And we had just finished Lost Mines of Phandelver, and I was looking for some fun stuff to do to add to it. And I just looked it up online, and that was my first introduction or reintroduction, because I knew about DriveThruRPG from years ago, and then I just kind of forgot about it. And then it brought DriveThruRPG back to my mind, oh, hey, there's a whole resource, because 5th edition was relatively new at the time. Oh my God, people are making stuff online that I can pay and download, and then I can try to extrapolate and use stuff from that. And the big thing that got me was the Dungeons on Demand series that he had, which had a bunch of different adventures for a variety of different levels. So I immediately went out and bought as many of them as I could. And then after that, I also went on to kickstart any of the new ones. And if you look at this here, this has 34 5-star ratings. This is a best platinum seller. This is Dungeons on Demand Volume 1. And you can see what it comes with is a 1st level, 4th level, 8th level, and 12th level adventure. Each one is a dungeon, fully encompassed, that will take you from whenever you started it, whatever it is. If this says it's a 1st level adventure, at the end of that adventure, you will be level 2. Same for the 8 and the 12. They're very well structured. They have little keys and little colors and little logos to let you know exactly what you're looking for when you're looking at a map, and then how to find it in the notes. Very well done. It also includes new twists on old monsters, adding in, this is, again, remember, this came out back in 2015. So this would have been adding in new monsters, versions of old monsters in 5th edition, as well as a supplement imbued with magic, which was adding magic items. And you can see you can buy them all individually. There's 4 volumes, and they sort of fill in the gaps, right? So this is a 2, 5, 9, and 13. This also had NPC Codex and a City and Towns one as well. This also came out back in 2015. If we were to look at Volume 3, 3, 6, 10, and 14. Weapons of Legacy, which is a very, very good document if you want to look into how to do weapons and items that advance with your players. And then Adventure Awaits was sort of, if I remember, this is a bunch of starting adventures and little things that you can key off of, kind of pre-prepared adventures. And then we have 7, 11, 15, and 19. Dungeon Delves with some new dungeon-based stuff, and of Crown and Kingdom, I actually don't remember. But this was out in 2016, and there was a couple of in-between ones. And if you were to download every single and have all of the Dungeons on Demand, you could start at level 1 and play only doing these various dungeons. And dungeons is a stretch, because some of them are outdoors in the woods, but they function like a dungeon, like you're moving through areas. You might also find that some of these are really great as certain things to pull if you need to. One of them's a pyramid, right? Like a mummy-style pyramid. That could be really great if your players use a bag of beans and you need to generate a pyramid real quick, which is what I ended up doing. We had that. And you could basically travel again from level 1 all the way to level 20 doing each one of these. You could play through all of them and run the characters all the way up to level 20, dealing nothing with this system alone. He also released Ebоnclad, which is a whole Thieves Guild-based setting, and several things from that as well. And then there was also all of these pages from the Lost Grimoire and additional things as well. I really, really like these products. Like I said, they were sort of formative in my early 5th edition time frame, making things here. So I have a big, big love for these products. Again, you can see most of them are very highly reviewed, especially the Dungeons on Demand products are all, have a lot of positive reviews. Even look at Ebоnclad again, best platinum seller, 5 stars for 41 ratings. You check these things out, especially the dungeons, you won't be disappointed. Number 3. Jetpack 7. This should not come to as a surprise to anyone, as I've worked with Jetpack 7 in the past. I really like their products. I like that they try to fill the gaps where there's not a lot of stuff, like how there isn't really any good legendary dragons out there, or really good high-level NPCs with masters and minions, or deities and other non-typical deities with things like gods and goddesses, and then gods and goddesses redux. I was also was lucky enough to be a part of the Jetpack 7 Kickstarter that ended at the end of last year, which is a sort of Spelljammer replacement, if you will, but a more grittier version of that, Blackstorm Realms, where I've designed a couple of subclasses for it, and I'm helping them out in general as a balance, sort of 5e balance guru, if you will. But anyway, I wanted to just go through and take a look at some of the stuff here, and there's actually some things that I learned about just going to do this video that I was even unaware of. So I did know that Conceptopolis and the kind of artist company behind Jetpack 7 does all the Young Adventurers guides. If you're unfamiliar with these are kind of kids books that you can go ahead and pick up that they don't really have rules in them. They are basically, you can get different books like this that will basically provide a bunch of interesting pictures, art, and information for people who want to get into Dungeons and Dragons and don't really know where to start. So I also clicked on Legendary Dragons here because this is my favorite, I think, out of all of them. It gives you all the cool dragon options. You can also buy prints of any of the very awesome Legendary Dragons in here. They also have this Legendary Dragons modification as well as a mini adventure. So if we click on the modifications here, it says this is basically to help you modify running dragons for your players, a free PDF here. And then Hell Hath Fury is a mini adventure here that is set for a group of 6 characters, level 17 to 20. And that is a mini adventure using one of the characters from within the book. Also, I just learned about the Arsenal, which was right at the top, which is free community content. And it looks like it is brand new 5e content, spells, items, and feats, player races, and archetypes. It's all original and all free. You can download that right now for free on their website. And also, if you use the coupon code NERDImmersion, just all one word here, it'll get you 10% off anything you place at Jetpack 7's website. So feel free to use that if you like. Number 2. 2C Gaming, another wonderful company with really awesome people behind it that I've met personally and I really like. They started off way back in the day with the Epic Legacy core rulebook. If you want to play a game of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons and you want to take it past level 20 and go possibly all the way up to level 30, well, this is the book for you. The Epic Legacy core rulebook has all sorts of rules for that. There is the campaign codex as well, which will get you more campaign information, not just these player-specific options to do so. Again, things to think about if you do want to take a campaign past level 20. Or if you want to possibly look at options for how you could supercharge an existing class. They also have things like Tyrants and Hellions and the very popular Total Party Kill Handbook, as well as the Total Party Kill Bestiary, how to make more difficult, more challenging encounters for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. The Total Party Kill stuff is awesome. I do plan, I think they even have some unique things out there as well as far as adventures and whatnot. I plan to work with 2C Gaming pretty heavily in the future. I don't know if we'll be doing a ton of work together in 2021, but ideally we will. We want to get together, do some reviews, and maybe I can help out and work on some stuff. I was going to be running some games for them at Gen Con 2020, but obviously that didn't happen. So we'll see. So again, really awesome stuff. I'll have links again. I should have said it at the start, but links to all of these different websites in the description if you want to go ahead and check that out. You can see we have the Bestiary and then the Total Party Kill Handbooks 1 and 2. Yeah, these are adventure paths. We have 3 adventure paths, right? Domes of Ishek, Zahor, City of Sands, and the Lion's Vault. They also run the like the total party kill like tournament at Gen Con, which is like, can your party survive these crazy epic encounters? Awesome stuff. Definitely worth checking it out. Number 1. And probably surprising no one, is Kobold Press. And how fitting that my creation, the Swollbold, pops up on screen right here as we're talking. This is one of my favorite things, the fact that I created a creature as part of an Extra Life stream as a joke. I pitched it to Kobold Press as part of the Creature Codex thing, and it ended up in a book, and it's actually one of their most popular things. Like, I love that. And I wish there was more credit on the page for it, but it is what it is. So it's orange, and orange is my favorite color. We didn't even talk about that, and that just makes it that much better. Anyway, Kobold Press does phenomenal work. They employ a bunch of my friends as well, which I can't argue about that. They have Kickstarters like crazy. Every time I turn around, there's a new Kobold Press Kickstarter, and they all knock it out of the park every time. So if we go check out their store, you can see a lot of popular things, like probably my biggest used ones that I constantly use all the time: Tome of Beasts 2, and Creature Codex. They are very in-depth books to provide a ton of extra information, extra monsters, creatures, and so on. Those are rad. I love them. You'll enjoy them, right? Especially if you're a DM. They have things like the Midgard campaign setting, which will let you then run a whole world in a whole campaign in their world of Midgard. But they also have things like the Midgard Heroes Handbook, which is like a player's handbook specifically for Midgard, which will allow you to have new player race options, new class options, new feats. They have really cool things like different maneuvers you can do with the different weapons. Those are really cool. I like those a lot. We have things like they have the Prepared series, Prepared 1 and Prepared 2, which is just a bunch of encounters that you can just pull whenever you need. All of the Tome of Beasts, Creatures Codex, Tome of Beasts 2 have a Lairs book, which is just a bunch of lairs and adventures that you can run people through if you need a prepared adventure with a map. Those are really great. They also do things like this, where they do Expanding the Codex, or things like this, where they just add extra options on their blog that are for free. This was Shades of Magic. They had one for Expanding the Codex, or which is expanding the Creature Codex option. They even have a print version here that you can, I don't know if it's a print version or not, but it is a PDF of all of their Expanding Codex things combined together, which provide you things like, if you look at the Swollbold here, new magic items and spells tied to the Swollbold, new feats and things, all sorts of really cool stuff tied to specific monsters from the Creature Codex. They have things like Warlock, which is this expanding deep magic options. There's these Bear Folk, which was a really cool one, and I know my friend Celeste Conowich worked on some of this stuff that you could get for free, like honey axes and nonsense. There's so many cool things that they do. I can't even scratch the surface on everything that I love about Kobold Press. Plus, I mean, there is somewhere around here, they used to have a Swollbold t-shirt that you could get, which is something I feel like I should have got one for free, but it's fine. But yeah, there's just so much stuff. I'm trying to see if I can even find anything interesting that they have here, right? We can go to 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and we can see again, we've got, looks like they're doing like almost like Adventure League style stuff with these Midgard Chronicles, which just looks like what that is. We have the collector's editions of the various books. We have all of these different Warlock ones that last forever. We have the Warlock Grimoire and Grimoire 2. The Scarlet Citadel just ended. We have the Empire of Ghouls. I happen to have the collector's edition just within arm's reach, right? Empire of Ghouls, different sort of undead, spooky campaign setting, which came with Underworld layers. There were things like the Southlands Player's Guide, the Underworld Player's Guide, the Midgard Player's Guide, all of these things that allow you to expand the races and options you have. We have Deck of Beasts. These were different versions you could get with like the Tome of Beasts. You could get cards to pull from if you needed these here to generate random encounters. There's the Kobold Guide to Game Design. There's all of these different campaign design books. There's just so much stuff on their website. and things you can pick up. A lot of the times I love going by the booth, again, when conventions were a thing, because I could see stuff I didn't even know about, pick up fun stuff. I highly recommend you check out Kobold Press, and the only downside about it is once you stop, or once you start rather, you might not be able to stop. You'll continue buying awesome new products from them because they really just knock it out of the park every time. So anyway, this is my top 10 third-party supplements, and you can see why I probably could have filled a top 10 list of just Kobold Press products alone. And then that's why it could have easily turned into a top 30 or a top 50. And rather than going that route, I thought it would be better to just give you companies that I like, that I respect, and I like their work. And it would be interesting to go and check out stuff. And then you can make your own decision if you have something specific you're looking for, or if you want to just buy the whole product line, depending on how many options they have out there, right? Certain companies here only have 1 or 2 releases under their belt. Might not be a bad idea to get in now while things are new. Maybe end of the year sales are still going on. Maybe you can find coupon codes. I highly recommend you check out everybody on this list and then see. You know, some of them even offer, again, Kobold Press does too. They offer free stuff as well, like with expanding a codex with the Shades of Magic. They have their blog where they're releasing new stuff all the time. We saw that the Griffon Saddlebag had a bunch of free stuff. So take a look. You might be able to get some good free things as well, and that might whet your appetite enough before you want to go out and spend money on a PDF or, you know, a physical copy of a book. So thank you again, everyone, for joining me on this, again, Wednesday edition of Top 10 Tuesday. I plan to get back on track starting next week. This one just was a lot more time-consuming to put together. So hopefully you all enjoyed it as much as I did making it. More top 10s to come. If you like what I do here and you want to continue to support the channel in other ways aside from just doing the YouTube thing of liking, subscribing, and commenting on the videos, you know, sharing them with your friends if you enjoy doing that. You can consider either joining the channel through the join button or becoming a patron over on Patreon. My patrons get to vote on what the top 10 videos are each week. I put a poll out usually a day or two before, maybe sometimes a couple days prior, and say, hey, what does everybody want to see from a list that I have kind of running in the background? And what I do is the first prize winner, the one that had the most votes, I make that week. And then I usually take the one that came in second and do that the following week. And then after that, we put the poll out again and cut the list down by those 2, and then can see where people want to go with it. And then higher tiers are able to suggest things. They get access to videos early when that's a thing, then it's available. People can pay to have me give them DM coaching sessions. There's all sorts of fun stuff over there. But again, you can obviously expect your free content here on Nerd Immersion continuing forward. And lastly, I've said it before, but this Thursday, I'll be starting a Baldur's Gate 3 stream online with my friends. You'll know a lot of them. Katie, aka Lazy Mermaid, and Celeste, aka Celeste Connell, which are the Venture Maidens in D&D fame, and my good friend LB Hackemup from our Rod of 7 Parts campaign. We're all going to be playing through Baldur's Gate 3 together. I think you should check it out. It should be fun. Come hang out in the chat, and we're going to play through the game together as sort of like a pseudo campaign while also interacting with the chat. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.